Hi, I'm Commissioner Nancy Jester, and welcome to Nancy Jester Reports for Tuesday, March 21st. Today we had your Board of Commissioners meeting, and we had a Committee of the Whole meeting where we received reports and also go over our agenda that we will be voting on next week. So we had a fairly easy agenda to go through, and I'll just give you some of the highlights. We did more of our work in committee. We have still on our preliminary agenda a look at the cost for the benefit plans in DeKalb, and so we'll be continuing to look at that. We'll have some public hearings next week as well for various street light and traffic calming petitions, so those will happen next week for various areas around the county. Of interest to District 1 is we're talking about what component the county might spend on a replacement bridge for the at Mercer University Drive over the North Fork Peachtree Creek. The bridge needs to be replaced, and this work will generally be done by the Georgia Department of Transportation, but we will have some component of cost associated with procuring some right-of-way for that, and we don't have the cost figures on that yet, but that's coming. We had a number of procurement items that were really relevant mostly to public works, so various materials. We did have a ratification for the transmission line, the expense to fix the transmission line, that large water main at Henderson Mill and Evans. So that was discussed in committee, but these are the things that were here on our agenda. We also are having a preliminary discussion about the acceptance of some grants from Georgia Department of Early Care and Learning, I believe that's called DECAL, for a food service program funding for summer feeding in 2017, and also some scholarships for after-school programs and basketball programs. So we'll talk more about that next week as well. Again, in committee, we had the Public Works Committee, went through, again, a number of the purchases to make sure they were appropriate. Also discussed, got an update on the consent decree projects, this particular update, and a 90-day look ahead for all projects in the Department of Watershed Management construction-wise. And we also talked about the communications protocols for sanitary sewer overflows, and we were lucky enough to have one of our Citizens Advisory Committee members, I believe he's the chair, with us at the meeting. So he talked about how we can improve that process and make a more robust communication strategy. He's just concerned about people not understanding what might be in a stream or creek subsequent to one of these events that happen. So he wants a more robust communications paradigm there. So I'm looking forward to continuing that discussion and improving that. I think that's a pretty easy fix. We can improve that. So that was a good discussion. We had our Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee meeting this afternoon, and I am thrilled to report that for the first time ever, we actually reviewed a financial year-to-date budget versus actual statement. So very excited to report that. This was our first one, so we took the time to look and see, is this the organization that was this the format that we want? Do we want to add some things? And so we took some suggestions from other commissioners about how we'll organize this. But I think our interim CFO did a fine job putting this together, and so we have a report that takes us through February in the fiscal year, and we are on track in most of our spending. So that's good news. Since this was just given to us today, I haven't had time to go through it at the granular level. What we're going to do in the future is we'll get this report a few days in advance of the Finance Committee meeting, and we'll have time to review it in the granular level and then ask questions about the numbers there. So going forward, we'll be doing that, and I'll be able to give you some more details on exactly what the expenditures are doing. But generally speaking, we are on track. We don't have any tremendous outliers. Any outliers that we have are because we might be changing them from a department to another department, so those are just some bookkeeping issues. But generally speaking, we're tracking nicely there. We also reviewed the bank account architecture that we have. That was illuminating the way we take in money, the way we how we expend money, and the protocols and the safeguards and the features of the bank accounts there, and the various bank accounts we have. We do have some things that we have some history that some odds and ends that need to be cleaned up in places, so we got an update on that. We also got an update on what the Finance Department is doing to mitigate and completely get rid of the findings, the audit findings that we had for fiscal year 15. We know we'll still have some of them for fiscal year 16, and hopefully we will get rid of them for fiscal year 17. And for fiscal year 16, we're going to whittle them down. So we talked about that, just bank reconciliation discussions, doing that on a timely basis. The Finance Department wasn't doing that on a timely basis. So it was really pushing our audit way back, and we were having all kinds of material issues there. So feeling that will be a standing item that we're going to talk about in our Finance Committee meetings so that we can track your audit process going forward. So good information. And I'll close with an announcement from the DeKalb County Emergency Management Agency, DEMA. They are having a set of courses that start Tuesday, March 28th for Community Emergency Response Team courses. And it's a 9-week course that will train you and your family and classmates and neighbors about various topics with emergency preparedness. It's going to be at the Fire Rescue Headquarters in Tucker, and the courses include disaster preparedness, fire suppression, medical operations, search and rescue, disaster psychology, terrorism, team organization, and autism awareness. So if you're interested, take this class. I think you could learn a lot from it. I'm considering taking it myself if it'll work for my schedule. So thanks again for joining me, and we will see you next time on Nancy Jester Reports.